So we'll start with, what is, you've covered this, but at the same time, in a sense, what is a pro and citizen developer mean? What's the difference? And I'll start with you, Kevin. Kevin C.
Yeah, so in my world, in the kind of the business application world and enterprise apps, I mentioned it a little bit. All these cloud ERP products have some layer of a kind of UI version of the code, right? And when I think of pro versus citizen developer, I think the citizen developer is someone like me that doesn't write code, can get in there and execute on actions that in most systems somebody is in the background actually hands-on keyboard writing the code. I see a lot of these tools be more point and click in nature versus kind of full-blown kind of writing out lines of code, which again shows my lack of knowledge of what a pro developer does. So but I'm seeing the tools be part of the UI, the user interface, as opposed to kind of back end, got to get your development studio set up.
Okay, and Marc.
Yeah, so ironically, I was at a conference yesterday, this Chief Data Officer Summit in the Midwest, and there was a great topic around kind of federated data management. And so we have these models that exist in the data world historically, where you have these kind of monolithic data warehouses, and it's hard to get the data out. It's hard to have confidence in the data, and the shift that this whole talk was about is moving to that federated model. What was cool about it to me is to see that within that model where each business line or part of the business has both pro developers as well as citizen developers kind of embedded within it, and in allowing that process to kind of make data exchange within the organization and the ability to kind of scale new products and services faster than some of the traditional approaches. So that really kind of was a light bulb for me. But to me the maybe the difference, or the way in which I think about pro and citizen developer, what was also really interesting about that talk is it really had nothing to do with tools, or it was all about process and change management in order to kind of move to that. So it's pretty interesting. But to me, the difference is really kind of around the use cases that you're trying to accomplish, and the tools and the people that are skilled in order to solve those problems. I think about the products themselves kind of on a spectrum, based on the level of control that the user has. So pro tools are going to have less levels of abstraction. You're going to have more control at lower levels, whereas citizen tools or at least, and a lot of them as they exist today, there's higher level of abstraction and less control. But I see kind of a convergence of the two, and that's what kind of made that light bulb go on yesterday. And I think the result of that is awesome. It's going to create, professional developers who are more focused and can truly kind of be heads down on differentiating things. And it's going to allow citizen developers to kind of take on more complex use cases. So that's kind of how I see both.
And Adam?
Yeah, I agree 100% with Marc. That convergence of citizen developer and pro developer certainly into one product really assists us in a couple of ways. So the one way is that then we can use more junior, as Marc said, there's such a shortage of builders, such a shortage of skills. And if you can now use more junior developers to develop complex solutions, then we're winning. Then we leave the pro developers to do the integration and so on. But another big point that's come up for us is around clients, even though, as I said, they might not use the development tools or the low-code tools. It's almost like a gatekeeper. Often our clients won't go forward unless they have got access to the low-code environment. Whether they choose to use it or not is another story. But it's almost you need to get into the game by having the low code environment set up.
Right. Very good. I mean, because that's just the evolution. I mean, things change. And that's the way. And if we look at Marc, you touched on a number. I mean, there's the education, the awareness, the process component that's changing the landscape. And you know, you don't want to give COVID credit, but you know, in a sense, you know, it's made things accelerate quite a bit in being able to do things with less and remote. And you know, I mean, really the world we've lived in for a long time, right? Except that now the businesses up the street have to operate that way, but it's that education, that process. And I think one of the pluses for the timing of us is that look at how tech savvy everybody is these days, right? How impatient they get when they download something and install it, and it isn't like this. You know, when we grew up, downloading and installing something, what? You kidding, right? You know, they're just elevated. So incorporating that into the business and the schools and understanding how the pro and the citizen mix is key.